All right, so here I have an example of a Notan Japanese paper cutting project that I have done. And I had a lot of fun playing around with the shapes and experimenting with what I could do. And I think you're gonna really enjoy trying this too. Notan is a Japanese paper cutting art that deals a lot with contrast. Contrast is kind of like when you are looking at the differences between dark and light. And in this case, we're using black and white to really have the highest contrast possible. In Japanese, Notan means light, dark harmony. So they also play a lot with balance, symmetry, and contrast. So we are going to get started now. I'm gonna put my white paper on top of my black paper right now, but you don't have to have it there, but if I had my white paper here, you wouldn't be able to see it so well, so that's why I'm doing that now. How to begin? You want to draw a shape coming from each side edge, and so you don't want it to hog all the space. You want it to go around halfway in. When you're drawing a shape, you need to have it start on that side and end at that side for each shape that you draw. So I'm gonna draw lightly in case I want to erase. I'm gonna do kind of one that's doing this zigzag line for my first shape. Now I'm gonna do, maybe for this one, kind of a wavy line. Okay, maybe for this one, I'll do kind of something that's, I don't know what that reminds me of, kind of a zipper type line. All the lines that you draw, you know you're going to have to cut them out. So you have to be super careful about that. Well, for this one, I think I'll just kind of do a half circle. All right, so this one, now that I'm looking at it, it's a little bit skinny. I want to be able to put another shape inside there. So I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to make it a little wider at the base. So I'm going to have it come out like this, still do that shape, but come out like that. So it's going to be kind of more triangular. All right, so after you've got your basic big shapes, keep in mind you need to have space between them. They're not allowed to touch. The next thing I want to do is another shape, a smaller shape inside. Now this is optional, but I think you should try it on at least one shape because it makes your Notan design look much more complicated and cool. So if you're willing to try it, you're going to just draw another smaller shape. It could be kind of a mimic line shape. It could be the same thing or it could be something completely different. So for example, in here, I'm going to make kind of like half of a rectangle. And in the circle, I will do a mimic line, half circle. And inside this weird shape, I think I'll do kind of just a small triangle. So I've got a second shape drawn in each one. All right, now it's time for cutting. So the first thing I want you to do is cut out all of the larger shapes really carefully. When you cut, you want to make sure that you're cutting out your shape. So when you're done, you just have one big shape. You don't have lots of parts and pieces when you're done. So you're cutting it out on one line. Okay, so I finished that one. I'm gonna set it up at the top. Okay, now I'm gonna do my zigzag one. Setting that off to one of the sides. Half circle. Setting that off to a different side. and my zipper weird shape. Now let me tell you, you do not have to cut exactly on your lines at all. In fact, I oftentimes do not cut exactly on my lines to make it a little easier. And if I notice my line is a little too close to another shape, I might cut it a little bit early or different so as to make it a little easier. Okay, so this should all be one piece. Because there are so many pencil lines on this one, I like to flip it over. Okay, so I'm going to put that in the middle of my paper and I'm going to glue that down. So I'm going to glue on my paper towel. So knowing that that's the side I want to show, I'm going to flip it over and put glue on the side that has all that pencil mark. And I'm going to put quite a bit of glue stick on there just to help me make sure nothing's going to flip off or fall off. I like to use a lot of glue. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is carefully flip that over and try to line it up so it's nice, it's kind of in the middle. I don't want it to be off to one side. It kind of needs to be in the center. And then I'm going to press and rub all of the edges. If you have glue on your fingers, use that paper towel to help get it off because you don't want to get glue smears on your art. Okay, so now that I have that glued down, I'm gonna put the parts and pieces back how they go, like a puzzle piece. So because this is turned over, my shapes are also gonna be turned over. Okay, so that's how they go. Now I'm not gluing them down like this, I'm just kind of organizing this. So I know that each of these shapes is gonna be flipped over and glued. So I'm gonna organize them how they're gonna be glued. But I still have the inside shape that I'm gonna do first, okay? So I'm laying all of them out like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna cut out all of the smaller shapes. When I cut out the smaller shape, right after I do it, I'm gonna put it on the other side. I'm gonna flip it onto the other side so it's really clear to me how I'm gonna be gluing this down. Okay, so here's my smaller circle. I know this circle is going to be going like that, and my smaller circle will be flipped, and it's going to do the opposite. And what's really fun to understand is that you are eventually going to have that line continue because this shape will continue the line, and then this shape, when I glue it, will continue the line. So when you're done, you'll still have that straight line edge of your square. If you would like to, you can glue it down right after you've made it so it doesn't move around on you. I kind of like to do that too. So I'm going to do the bigger shape first, flip it over, put some glue. Now I'm going to line it up on those two edges and then press it. Now I'm going to do my smaller shape, flip it over, line it up so it's going to continue that line edge and then press it. Okay, so in this way you're going to do all of the rest of the shapes the same way. So I'm going to cut this rectangle out, turn it. That stays this way, but my rectangle gets flipped. Okay, so I'm going to glue this one exactly right on that line and that one exactly this way. Do that now. Line it up so it matches, press and rub. Some of your shapes may go off the edge. That's a little tricky to know where to put your glue. I didn't really look for that at first. So I'm gonna have some glue on the back of there that just will have to just try to dry. Okay, so match that up, press and rub it. So I'm gonna do this one next. Okay, that's gonna stay exactly how it was, but this little shape is going to get flipped. And now I'm gonna glue it on. I'm gonna try not to put glue on that edge, knowing that it won't be sticking onto the black paper there. Try to remember to do that. I'm matching that up as best as I can with that edge, so it really matches up almost perfect. Okay, little piece. And then matching that up so the line stays exactly the same. And my last piece, this little triangle. So I know this is going to be glued that way, exactly the symmetrical, and then that will be glued flipped this way. Okay. All right, when you're done with your Notan designs, what I like to do is take my eraser and erase any pencil marks that are really showing, because they distract from that contrast and your design. So I kind of like to get rid of those if you can. And then I like to sign my work. I'm going to sign it in pencil here, and it'll be a little hard to see, but I am going to sign it in the bottom corner. And then what I'd like for you to do is take a photograph of your artwork and upload it to Google Classroom under the assignment called Notan. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I'll see you next time.